Imagine, imagine building a supercomputer that's totally capable of, like, curing cancer, but it just outright refuses to run the final chemical analysis. Not because the math is wrong, but because, well, the chemical formula somehow offends local political sensibilities.
Right. It sounds absurd when you put it like that.
It does, right. But we are constantly, conditioning our artificial intelligence to be relatable. We want it to sound like us, to respect our cultural norms. But in this huge rush to make these systems polite and customized, are we essentially giving them a cognitive lobotomy?
It's a huge question. And I mean, it completely upends how we normally think about technology. We've spent decades, treating user customization as the absolute holy grail of software design.
Yeah, exactly. The customer is always right.
Right. So the idea that adapting a tool to its user could actually be its fatal flaw, that's kind of a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But it forces us to look at what we are actually doing to the underlying architecture of these models.
And that is exactly the core of our deep dive today. We are looking at a highly provocative 2026 opinion article. It's titled "The Dissolution of General Intelligence: How Local Customization Threatens AI's Cognitive Universality."
It's quite a title.
Yeah, very academic. It's written by Momen Ghazouani, who is the Chief Scientist at Setaleur Aplamda. And it builds really heavily on their earlier predictive study regarding cognitive frugality in aligned language models.
Basically, Ghazouani is sounding an alarm here.
Right.
The whole mission of this piece is to expose the hidden cognitive costs of forcing AI to conform to local cultures, taboos and politics.
Right.
He's arguing that this localized tailoring doesn't just change how the AI talks, it actually fundamentally destroys the nature of artificial reasoning itself.
Which is a massive claim. And for you listening, I think it is really important to state right up front that we are going to explore this entirely objectively. The source material delves into highly charged concepts, spanning the entire political. But our goal here isn't to take a side at all. We're just here to dissect the engineering and the sort of philosophical mechanics of Ghazouani's argument.
Yeah, we're looking under the hood.
Exactly. So, to understand how we might be destroying artificial intelligence, I guess we first have to understand what general intelligence actually is. Because Ghazouani uses this term cognitive identity. And when I first read that, my mind instantly went to science fiction.
Like Terminator or something.
Right, like the AI developing a personality or, having feelings.
Well, a lot of people make that leap, but the author actually draws a very sharp line there. Cognitive identity has absolutely nothing to do with consciousness or sentience or, having a digital soul.
Okay, so what is it then?
It refers strictly to the deep structural framework of how a system processes information and connects concepts. So Ghazouani argues this identity is defined by a few specific traits, and he starts with what he terms radical context switching.
Okay, wait, let me stop you there. Because when I hear context switching, I just think of, my own human multitasking. I can answer an email and then go stir a pot of pasta on the stove and then return to a spreadsheet.
Sure, but human multitasking is usually just sequential task management. And honestly, we actually lose a tremendous amount of cognitive efficiency every single time we switch gears like that.
That's true. It takes me a minute to remember what I was doing on the spreadsheet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But radical context switching in an AI is an entirely different beast.
Yeah.
Mathematically, a truly general AI maps all human knowledge into this massive multidimensional vector space.
Right.
So it can jump from analyzing the probabilistic outcomes of quantum mechanics to evaluating the rhythmic structure of a piece of Renaissance poetry, and then seamlessly apply that exact rhythmic structure to a problem in macroeconomic policy.
Oh, wow. Just totally fluid, because it doesn't compartmentalize knowledge the way a human brain does.
Exactly. It sees the structural similarities across completely disparate domains. Human beings, we get trapped in the conceptual silos of our own disciplines. Like a biologist looks at a traffic jam and tries to solve it using fluid dynamics or cellular models.
Which might be totally inadequate for a traffic jam.
Right. But a general AI possesses the metacognitive flexibility to just float above those silos. It pulls the exact right framework for the exact right moment.
And that hovering effect, that leads into the next trait the author brings up, which is perspective multiplicity, which is something humans are notoriously terrible at.
Oh, yeah?
You bring up a controversial topic at a Thanksgiving dinner, and everyone instantly retreats into their pre-existing camps. We just want to collapse any ambiguity into a single narrative that proves, that we are right.
Yeah, we simply lack the biological hardware to simultaneously hold 6 contradictory viewpoints in our heads without feeling immense cognitive dissonance.
It's just physically uncomfortable.
It is. But general AI thrives in that suspension. When you feed a really complex geopolitical question into an unconstrained model, it doesn't rush to a singular comforting conclusion.
Right.
It holds the historical, the economic, the sociological, and ethical contradictions all in a state of suspended analysis. It sees dimensions you and I miss simply because we are so anchored to our own vantage points.
Okay, let's unpack this, because Ghazouani uses this amazing analogy of an intellectual prism.
Yes, the prism analogy is great.
Just like a prism takes a single beam of light and refracts it into all these multiple colors, a true general AI takes a single question and refracts it into all its constituent perspectives. It's kind of like that old parable of the blind man and the elephant.
Oh, sure.
Everyone is touching a different part of the animal, and they're arguing over whether it's a snake or a tree trunk. But the AI isn't touching the elephant. It's hovering 50 feet in the air, looking at the entire scene, and understanding exactly why each person is making their specific argument.
That's a great way to put it. And that holistic view is really only possible because of another trait Ghazouani talks about. He calls it abstraction resilience.
Abstraction resilience.
Yeah. Cognitive scientists often talk about human hot cognition. When we encounter a topic that threatens our identity or, say, our political affiliations, our amygdala essentially hijacks our prefrontal cortex.
We get defensive.
Exactly. Our emotional commitments physically distort our analytical processing.
Right, we ignore data that doesn't fit and we just double down on our biases.
Exactly. But a general AI operates with cool abstraction. It can parse through deeply partisan, really vitriolic discourse with the exact same mathematical detachment it uses to balance a chemical equation.
Oh.
And it isn't cold indifference, right? It is a vital, necessary cognitive distance. It just doesn't have an ego to protect.
And when you combine all of these elements, the structural mapping across disciplines, hovering above the contradictory viewpoints, and that cool egoless abstraction, you arrive at what is basically the ultimate superpower of general intelligence. Its capacity to generate genuine surprise.
Yes, it produces insights that are completely free from human parochialism. Because it isn't weighed down by our cultural baggage or, our historical assumptions, it can connect dots we didn't even know were on the same page.
But Ghazouani argues this incredible, almost alien cognitive architecture is currently under attack. He warns that we are moving from healthy software adaptation into this dangerous state of cognitive enclosure.
Right.
And I want to really dig into the mechanics of this, because I think a lot of people, myself included, honestly, assume that customizing an AI just means like putting a polite filter on the output, just making it say things nicely.
That is definitely the most common misconception, and Ghazouani says it is entirely wrong. We are not just filtering the output, we are fundamentally altering the underlying neural pathways.
The actual